the day when the historic Right to Education Bill was passed in the Indian Parliament, unlike what many of my competitors thought, that a right of education is still not valid in India, but it is. Now, I would like to relate this day with one more day, that is 26th of January 1950, the day when the Indian Constitution came into being. That was the day when it had when the Article 45 in the Directive Principles of State Policy was introduced. That directive said free and compulsory education to all students between the age of 6 to 14 years. But my dear friends, we all know the result of the first directive that was passed in 1950. India is still languishing. India still doesn't have the universal right to education. The goal of universalization of education has still not been achieved. So going by the past standards, we don't think that the second directive, which was passed on 4th August, would give out some dividends. A very good morning to all of you, respected judges and my dear friends. I firmly believe that right to education in India is definitely a myth, and it is not possible to impart education or give right to education to every student in India. Let's talk about right to education. Right to education is a very good law, it's a very good concept, but theoretically, it is not at all practically applicable. But I firmly believe that if this is going to be implemented as the other schemes are implemented by the government, this would definitely remain a distant dream for most, then education would definitely remain a distant dream for most of the Indians. But as for my worthy opponents who think that right to education is not a myth in India, I would like to ask them, have you gone through the details of the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan or the success rate of the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan? I fully agree that it is somewhat successful, but the amount that we are putting in and the output we are getting definitely does lack somewhere. Further, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan and many other schemes like the midday meal scheme or the national other schemes that have been implemented definitely have some lacunae, and they are quite obvious. Now, as per the 86th Amendment of the Constitution in 2002, this right to education bill was already passed during the reigns of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. But it took more than 6.5 years, 2 governments and more than a dozen legislations to make this bill into a law. So that speaks what kind of government are we having? Do they actually respond to what we have said? Do they actually respond